Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video I want to share with you how do I make the increases in knitting. This is a method that I'm using all the time and I find it super easy, and I will share with you also a method about how to cast on but as a crochet. So I hope you like this one. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Catalina and I'm the person behind By Catalina Designs, and today's video is a tutorial about knitting, but from my perspective as a crocheter. Long time ago I had a discussion with my friend Catalina, having the same name as I do, and she was asking me on how I increase in knitting. And for a while I kind of didn't want to make a video about it because my way of increasing is really simple, and I know that there are better techniques over there. And I avoided to have this because I know that my increases don't look nice or whatever. I'm okay with it, and I never use like make one left, make one right, or so ever. And this is because, not because I don't want to try different stuff, but for me is I am a main crocheter and I want knitting to be something easy and something that I can do with ease. So that's why I didn't want it to get more into the different techniques. So I will show you how I make the increases in knitting, which is simple. It's simple at yarn over and that's it. And I will also tell you why I'm using it. And you know, maybe if you are you needed plenty of raglan sweaters from top down, you're increasing at every other row. So for me it was easier with this technique to know what run do I have. Do I need to increase or I don't need to increase? Because as a crocheter I'm not used to use the row counter or something like that. I'm not knitting that often, so usually I'm starting something, then put it aside, and then I was trying to figure out if I was supposed to have a knitting increase row or I don't have to do increases. And I know that it's easier while you have experience to count the rows or to use the stitch counter, a row counter, and this will be easier, or at least to write it down, whatever round do you need to do next, to have it there written down when you're picking up the project again. But of course that I know in theory, but when I'm actually doing it, I don't know. So with yarn overs it's easier for me to figure it out, because if I have those loose yarn overs, then I know that my previous round was with increases and now I need to do a round without increases. So it's easier for me to figure out this, and I'm always doing it. And because when I'm looking on my knitting project, I don't feel that those increases are looking bad, so then I keep using it. So let me show you how I'm making the increases. I will have a round yoke sweater, but I'm using as well for the raglans or any type of increases, whatever I need to increase. And then if you're interested on how to start a top-down sweater using a chain stitch, a foundation chain, then please keep watching because I will show it to you right away. Okay, so this is the yoke of my sweater. Now I have to increase again. I have another increasing round. I just check how many stitches do I have to knit in between increases. Usually I like to alternate, so not to increase at the beginning of the row every time. So now I have 4 stitches, knitting stitches, and then I'm yarning over. Okay, let's slow it down a little bit. So just yarning over when I'm doing the increase. So I have 3, 4, so 4, and then yarn over. So this is the simplest way that you can do the increase. Now let's see the other round where we need to deal with those yarn overs. Okay, so we will knit all the stitches until we have this loose loop on the needle, and let's do it one more time because I didn't have time to explain. So we will knit all the stitches, and now when we have that loose loop, we are twisting it, and in this way it will twist the loop, that stitch that we increased, and it won't leave a hole behind. If you are knitting the loop as it is, then it will create an eyelet, so hole. This might be pretty as well, depending on the design that you want to make. So here is how the stitches are looking like. It's not like we can see where the increases are made. Well, this is a pretty dark yarn, so it is not visible at all, but I will show it to you on a lighter sweater just to see how these increases look like. So here is a lighter sweater. You can tell where the increases are, but they're not necessarily like holes, so I don't think they're looking bad. It's true that they are visible, you can tell where the increases were made, but I think it's looking really pretty. So I hope you'll like this technique. It's super easy, and if you're a beginner, I really recommend to start with this one. Okay, now that we have the increases explained on how I'm doing it, of course, feel free to do any technique that you want, and as I'm doing it, whenever you find something that you're comfortable to it, then keep doing that. And whenever you feel that you want to step forward and learn a new technique, then please do it. So whatever you feel like, do it as you feel, because in this way you will avoid frustration, and it will be a nice and beautiful craft to make. So now let me show you how how you can start a top-down sweater with a foundation chain. And I thought of this particular technique because also Catalina told me that she avoids starting a top-down sweater. She's used to build the top-down or the raglan crocheted sweater by her own with the increases and so on. She knows how to do that, but now it's difficult to figure it out with how many stitches to start. And of course, in this situation, we can make a gauge swatch, and then according with that gauge swatch to calculate how many stitches we need to start with. But of course, we all know that many times we don't want to make a gauge swatch because we want to keep it harder and harder and harder. So I have for this sweater that I just showed you how I did the increases. Actually, I had a gauge swatch for another sweater that I started, so I used that to cast on the stitches for the neckline. And now we will try to do it again, but with the foundation chain, and we will see in the end if this method will work or not by comparing the ribbing of the neckline. I hope you'll find this interesting, and let's get started. Okay, so I have here the same combination of yarn, cotton and mohair, the same that I'm using it for the sweater. And we will use the same because this is a comparison between the ribbing that we are doing casting on with a crochet hook and the one that we did with the long tail cast on the sweater. So now I'm using an 8mm crochet hook because it's the same size as the needle that I'm about to use. And we will start, and I will chain the same number of stitches as I cast it on. So I will chain 60 stitches. I'm trying to keep the stitches looser because I don't know yet how this will end up, but I want to make sure that my foundation chain is not too tight. Now I will chain 60 stitches, but of course if you are used to try on around your neck the foundation chain in crochet, then you can try it on and try to chain as many stitches as you need. Now we will take the needles. I have here 8mm needles, and we will remove the crochet hook and insert the needle through that last loop that we have. And now we will go into the third loop, so the back loop of the chain. And so here is the V, and I'm going into the back loop. This is because I want the V to form a nice edge around the cast on edge. And now I will yarn over with the needle and pull it through that loop. And this is how I have 2 stitches now. You need to insert the hook into the second stitch because you already have the first one on your needle. And we will continue like so until we finish the chain and we have the same number of loops on the needle as the number of chain stitches that we did at the beginning. Okay, let me show it to you a little bit closer and slower. So I'm going with the needle through that loop, yarn over and pull it through. And this is how we will repeat until we finish the chain. Okay, and this is how I will show it to you right away how it's looking. Now we simply go with the needle through that back loop, yarn over and pull it through. That's why it's important to keep the stitches looser on our foundation chain, because this will make it easier to go with the needle and pick up those stitches. And this is how the cast on edge will look like with that chain, which is really pretty. And now the same as I'm doing when making a long tail cast on, I do like to work the first row flat. So I'm turning and working the ribbing row, and just after the first row I'm joining, because always the first row is pretty difficult to work on, and it will be difficult because my cord is longer than the number of stitches that I have. So now I will do a 1-to-1 ribbing, so 1 knit stitch, 1 purl. My continental purl stitches is modified, so this is how I learned when I was a child to purl, and even if I try to do it different ways, this is the fastest as I can do it. And because of the way I'm purling the stitches, this will change the way of knitting when you are purling the entire row, and also it will change the purl now on the ribbing. So now I will try to use the traveling loop method. So I'm just pulling out the cord to just make this cord shorter to be able to join now in the round. So I'm simply starting to work the stitches as they are in the round. So again, knit 1, purl 1. And before comparing this ribbing with the ribbing that I have on the sweater, I think I should work a couple of more rows, and then we will see how this will look like comparing with actual sweater, the one that I made the ribbing with casting on with the long tail method. Okay, so I worked a couple of rows. This is looking pretty good, but let's see when putting it over the neckline. Here at the beginning we will weave in that end, and we will close that gap that is made from the first row. And now let's put it over and see how this is going to work. I do believe that it's a bit wider than, but it might be because of the cord as well, because it might be getting smaller with the ribbing after working more rows. But I think it's pretty good. I think it's looking pretty good. It's also really stretchy. So if I'm stretching both of them, it's kind of getting to the same width. So I think this method can work if you're used to build up your sweater from the beginning and you want to find an easy way to cast on by trying on the chain, a foundation chain, a crocheted one. I think this is pretty good. It is elastic, it has a nice chain edge, so cast on edge, so I think it's going to work pretty well. So I hope you'll like this. If you are a crocheter and you want to try knitting, I think this hack will help you out. So this was it with the video for today. I hope you learned something today. I hope you know how to do it next time, or at least you have a hint of how to it's better to start your knitting project. If you're a crocheter, I do believe that knitting is like a break. At least this is how it's for me, and that's why I like to keep it as simple as possible, because I do want to keep it simple and to feel like I have a break every time I'm knitting a project. I love knitting. I love having a side project in knitting, because whenever I feel a break, that I need a break, where I'm frustrated with a crocheted project, a knitting project is always perfect. Perfect. So thank you so much for being here with me for another tutorial. Please leave in your comments if you have any suggestions or questions about anything yarn related, crochet, knitting, or so on. I will be happy to help, and I will be happy to show you how I'm doing things. So thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye.